Okay, here I am going through the answer key to the Math 3 practice exam, the mixture of multiple choice and free response longer questions. I gotta talk fast because I want to keep this under 15 minutes or YouTube will cut it off. Here we go. This is right out of an actual SAT exam. Which of the following graphs could be an equation? You got to look at where those intercepts are and just think the opposite. X plus 3 is that associated factor. X minus 2 is that associated factor because when I plug in 2 I get 0 and that's where it's 0. Here there's 2 x's because it goes up, touches, and then turns around. I call that a bounce. So you're going to get 2 x's there. So it's x squared, then times the other 2 factors. B. This guy, this is just a composite function. Just look through the math the way it's demonstrated here. G of 0 is going to be -1, 1 minus a -1. Don't mess up on the negative signs. It's 2. This last one here is a stats question. And just pay attention to what this frequency means. That means there are 6 18s and 5 19s and 4 20-year-olds. And if you have 20 students, then the median value, the middle value, will be the average of the 10th and the 11th. Well, both the 10th and the 11th, if you count from one end or the other, are going to be 19-year-olds. So that age is actually 19 for the median age. Then for the mode age is 18-year-olds. So the mode is 18. So the mode is lower than the median. And if you look down here, the only option that goes mode and median is this one. I suppose, let's see, mode, if the mean is in between, I guess that's possible, B. But if you look at the way this higher value, this 130-year-old, pulls that average, so it's higher. So it's going to be well over 20. So it goes mode, then median, then mean. Mode, median, mean. That's A. On to this one. This is just testing if you know what a negative and a fractional exponent are. The negative puts it in the denominator, and then you drop the negative. Do not flip that fraction. That stays a fraction in that orientation, but what it does mean is that it's a square root. So it becomes 1 over the square root of a equals x. There's a little trick where you can swap the x and swap the a, and you get it looking like this, or you can think of it as being over 1, and then cross multiplying and dividing, but at any rate you get this. When I square both sides, 1 squared is 1, x squared is x, and the square root of a squared is a. So it's C. This guy, it's all about knowing that the domain is with the x's, the range is about the y values. This one is the only one where the y values are 4 and below, and they go through -3 and +1. -3 and +1, it's got to be A. For 7, it's given this following information. This is an angle, side angle. Notice B is in between A and C, so it's included. So it's got to go like this, where this is A, this is B, and this is C, equals 9. And it's got to be first the law of cosines. That's the only one that does side, angle, side. You can't use the law of sines. But once you've done it once, you can then use the law of sines because that's easier. So D is the way to go. 8 is going to be regular rectangular form. That's when we take a vector and we think about it being over and down, and that's the coordinates there in rectangular form. So how long is the actual vector? It's just the Pythagorean theorem applied to this. Square 6, square -8, add it all up, square rooterize it, and you get 10. That's the answer for 8. That's C. When using linear programming to solve a problem, the constraints are graphed to find the feasible region. Just know your basics. You won't be doing anything more than that. Which of the following is not a representation of a function? Plot all the points. This is the one where the points stack up. It majorly fails that vertical line test. All the other ones pass. So that is A is the one that is not a function. Number 11, if you look at what is a rational function, it's things that are ratios of polynomials. So it's like saying, where do you find 2 polynomials? Well, this is not a polynomial because of that. This is not a polynomial because 2.3 can't be an approved exponent. This is just a polynomial, so it's not a ratio of 2, which is what we want for it to be a rational function. These are both polynomials, and they're both in ratio form. The answer is E. Why not this one? 10 is actually a polynomial, but it divides in perfectly, and there's no x value. So this is just a line, so we would not consider that a polynomial. 12, What is the left-hand, right-hand behavior of the following function? That's even, so the arrows on right and left-hand side both go in the same direction. The default position is on the right, it goes up, so on the left goes up. So this is up, up, left, and right. This is just knowing your definition of what a logarithm is. Logarithms were invented to isolate that 1/5, that exponent, so only options that have 1/5 by itself are these and these. It is not C because we build the exponent on the base. A is the base, so it's got to be A. Log base A of 2 isolates that 1/5. Know that definition, very important. The following function, this is a rational function, we don't give it away. It is going to have a vertical asymptote where it factors and where those factors give you 0. So break that open, reverse FOIL it. When you factored it, say when is it equal to 0? It's -4. That's not on there, but 3 is, so it's D. 15, it's just solving one of those triangles. This is also side, angle, side, so it's law of cosines. Do the math, go carefully. Remember to multiply this and that the cosine of 60, which is exactly 1/2, it's 0.5. Do that first. You get all this, you do the math, you get 76, you square root it. That's your best answer. C. For 16, we're given 2 questions in a row that deal with this function. The first thing is, what are the coordinates of the vertex? Vertex is found by finding the axis of symmetry. That's this formula here. Good thing to put on your little help sheet. Call that the axis of symmetry for finding the vertex. Minus b is minus and minus 6 over 2 times 3 winds up being 6 over 6. That's 1. Plug in 1. Very simple to do the math. You get -4d. 17. Finding the zeros. Just identify the a, the b, and the c. Plug it into the quadratic formula. Pretty straightforward. Just be careful of simplifying the radical. This is where the multiple choice will help you out, hopefully, and force you to do that. The answer is A. 18. Find the value of x. This one is tricky if you don't realize that 32 and 8 are both powers of 2. Would have been on the chart of numbers. Those are worth looking over. 2 to the 5th is 32, and 2 to the 3rd is 8. When you see that, the 3's will cancel. They both can be taken as their cubes and can be factored out, and you wind up with 2 raised to the 5 over x power equals 2 to the 1st. You could also attack this with logarithms, and that would get you the right answer, which is that if x is 5, 32 to the 3 over 5 exponent is equal to 8. Jasmine deposits some money into a bank with 3.6% interest rate. It's compounded quarterly. That's 4 times a year. You need the compounding formula for n times a year, with n is 4 and n is 4 up there. Carefully do the math. I would put this into your calculator and come up with this number and then go to solve it. And when you use logs to solve it, you get 19.3 years. So the closest answer is D, 2037. Evaluate log base A of the 5th root of A. What you do is you take A, and if it's the 1/5 root, you raise it. Sorry, the 5th root is the same as raising it to the 1/5 power. That 1/5 comes out front. Log base A of A, they kind of cancel. Turn into 1. 1/5 times 1 is 1/5. So the answer is E. On to sigma notation. Which one of these forms of sigma notation will be correct to match with -12 plus -4 plus 4? This is going up by 8 each time. It's starting at -12. That means it's arithmetic. And the formula for arithmetic is right here. The first term, the common difference, and n minus 1. I need to find how many terms there are. It's not 964, but it's 123 terms that will get me to 964. I can find that by working backwards from this, where I substitute in, that's the value of the final term. Everything else I know, except I don't know how many terms it took me to get there. So I work backwards, find that out. So that's why that's 123. It's arithmetic, as I said. Evaluating. There are 3 questions. Yeah, this is the final question. To evaluate it, you can pop it into your calculator, but you should show your work, how you get there, It's the first term plus the last term times how many pairs of numbers. You just put those all in, do the math, and you get the answer, A. Last two questions are about a car that's purchased in the year 2000 for $36,000. It loses 7.2% of its value. On the original test that I posted, it had a different problem from before, cut and paste error. I'm sorry. It should have been something like this. When you do the math and solve it, you get 17,523. So that's going to be answer B in the new and improved version. Okay, so my apologies if that threw you off. In what year will the car's value drop before 2,400? I think this one is correct. If you do this math and work backwards from your original setup, 2,400, you get 37 years. So in the year 2037, you'll get to about 6 months of the way along, and you'll be at that value. So final multiple choice answer is B. Okay, on to the free